All right, so this is another episode of the Self-Made Man podcast. Like this is like episode number 3. The first one were like test episodes, and I'm going to continue to do these because this is what I love to do: get behind this microphone and put in work. And I'm probably going to try to add some music and shit too. And eventually, I'm going to just like go live with these every day. But and I do these from my Facebook page, and you probably won't see these anywhere else because, well, you guys will find that out later. So anyways, what I wanted to talk about today is, are you hardwired for failure? And I had this conversation with my wife. She's like my muse, right? So we were actually talking about a friend of ours and about preconceived notions that we have that are kind of pre-built into our profile, like our psychological profiles, right? And it's not your fault, right? First of all, and this is like a cliche that I hear most marketers say, and I finally got it. It snapped when I thought about this. Actually, the "it's not your fault" part, like, okay, so this podcast has been on my mind for the better part of, I don't know, a week now. And I've had it in the back of my mind. And, you know, my wife was like, dude, you need to do that podcast right now. And I'm like, nah, I won't forget this one because this one's a good one. And because it's all about paradigm shifts, dude. It's seriously. And I know that sounds corny. And I'm going to tell you, for the last 40 years, I thought all of that was hogwash, bullshit. Like, and people call it woo woo or whatever. But that, like, I'm not going to tell you to go stand in the mirror and do affirmations. I'm a smart, young, educated black man, or, you know, some shit like that. I'm not going to do that, right? But paradigm shifts really do work, right? And one of the things that I can tell you is that we are hardwired to have a certain type of information in our head, right? So I'm going to show you something right now, right? So I'm going to go here. This is just a quick little so like, I'll do a few, right? So let's talk about Donald Trump, right? So what are your thoughts as soon as you see this guy, right? So now here's the thing. We are hardwired to believe some shit right now about Donald Trump, right? So the first things that come to my mind is a dummy. The second thing is, a dumbass, right? The next thing is probably going to be rich, entitled, spoiled, and the list goes on, right? Definitely not presidential, that's for sure, right? That's one thing that's not going to come to my mind when talking about Donald Trump. I don't even think he thinks he's presidential. But now, that's beyond the point. Do I know Donald Trump? No. Have I ever met this dude? No. I've heard a bunch of shit, but have this been proven? Have I like experienced it myself? And the answer to that is no. The dude could be solid. I don't know. Right. But in my mind, I'm hardwired to believe a certain thing to be true. Right. And so now I'm going to go to a new one. Morgan Freeman. When you see Morgan Freeman, what do you think about? Well, if you follow him at all, the first thing you think about is Red. Right? Shawshank Redemption. And you think about a guy struggling, right? And now, so let me give you something personal about Morgan Freeman. Like, I know his brother, and his brother is like a dope fiend. And he's in and out of jail all the time, and Morgan helps him out, and sometimes he doesn't. But when you think about Morgan Freeman, do you honestly believe that he sexually assaulted the women that they said he did? And in your mind, it's either a yes or a no. But unless Morgan Freeman fucked you, you don't know what he did. I'll do another one really quickly since we're talking about this, right? So, Bill Cosby. What do you think, right? Did he do it? I'll give you an even stronger one. What do you think when you see this guy? Right? Did he do it? Now, here's the thing about O.J. Simpson that's really colder. There's only 2 people that could tell you whether or not he actually killed them, and they can't tell you because they're fucking dead. Right? Who knows if he did it or not? You have hardwired preconceived notions, right? But now I'm going to go back and that was just something really simple, but let's talk about college education, right? So what did your mom and dad tell you about college education? Now you already know that Ty Lopez and a few people like Gary Vee talk about how the school system is broken and shit, but let's take that down to a really, really hardwired level. My wife's brother, and she really explained this to me. It was a trip. She's like, my mom felt like her mother's passed away, right? She said, my mom felt like if you didn't go to college, pretty much you were a dumbass. You were like a lower class citizen if you did not go to college. And that was something that she hardwired into her children. So my wife hasn't been to college. And to be honest with you, it took me a while to let my wife see her self-worth, right? I had to fight that. My wife didn't have the confidence that she has right now when I met her. Absolutely not, because she didn't finish college, right? And that's one thing I can guarantee you, I haven't even talked to her about it, that probably sat in her gut for a long time. The next thing is her brother was like, yo, my son, now his son is like a drummer. I think this is the guy I'm talking about. She's got two kids. One of them is like an army dude, and the other one is like a drummer dude. Am I right? Okay, the army dude. Now, the army dude, his name is Creed, right? Is that it? Yeah. All right. So he wants to be an entrepreneur, right? I'm not going to talk shit about your brother. No, she's like, don't talk about my brother. So no, I won't. It's just the truth, though. So the way my wife feels about it is because of the way she is now, is like anybody can do anything to survive and to get out into the world and to do better for themselves. Her brother, on the other hand, feels like, yo, Creed needs to go to college if he wants to be anything. So you can see the hardwire right there. My wife had to break that, though. But her brother is hardwired into believing that. Now, it's not the question of whether it's right or wrong, but if you're listening to me right now, that means that you want to be an entrepreneur. That hardwired bullshit that you have in your head, preconceived notions about whether it's Bill Cosby, O.J. Simpson, college education, or anything of the sort, I want to be clear. All of those hardwired things in your head will totally stop you from becoming an entrepreneur. And the reason why I say that is because everything that's hardwired into your head more than likely was put there by someone who either didn't know what they were talking about or just kind of spewing out shit that they had been told and they had been told and their parents had been told and their parents had been told. And it all came down to you. But here's the thing that's true about life. What works for me will not, absolutely, more than likely, the exact same thing that I do will not work for you. So just because your father went to college and became a doctor, lawyer, or an Indian chief doesn't mean that that's necessarily what's going to work for you. We're all wired differently. And I can tell you for a fact that I cannot hold a job working for someone else for longer than 3 weeks. A month is my maximum that I've ever really held a job. But I can work for myself day in and day out, 16-hour days, nonstop, no sleep, not even eating. Yesterday was a good example that I forgot to eat yesterday. And I can work every day like I'm doing right now, all day long for myself. How is that possible? I'm just not built to go to work for someone else. I have been an entrepreneur my entire life. From the time that I, cleaned out garages to mowing lawns, cutting people's grass, like on the East Coast, you probably would have been a guy that snowed shovel for people or snowed driveways or something, sidewalks. If you're that guy, then you know what I'm talking about, right? I have never been able to work for anybody else. I can't stand authority. I can't stand bosses. I hate office politics and water cooler talk and all of these things. If you feel that way, number one, click the thumbs up wherever you are. If you feel that way, make a comment on this or whatever. And number two is, then that means that you're pretty much wired to be an entrepreneur. But here's where the wires get crossed and where we get all kind of messed up electrical connections. We've been told that we need to go to school. We've been told that we need to follow the rules and, walk down the straight line, the straight path, a path of the straight and narrow. Everything that you've been told like that will end up filtering into and polluting your entrepreneurship. And the reason why I'm telling you that is because you're going to start saying, my customers don't want this, or they won't pay for that, or no one is interested in this, or I don't feel like. At the moment that you become an entrepreneur, that shit has to go out the window, and you need to start working with data and be for certain. Now, these are lessons that I've learned over the past few years myself. I was quick to say, they won't pay for that. Or even I'll tell you something else that happens to just about every entrepreneur in the beginning, and that is not valuing yourself high enough. I was really bad at that. I'm probably one of the best coaches, mentors, and entrepreneurs on the planet, right? But I feel like, I used to sell my coaching for $99 or $100 or $200. And now $500 is my line, and that's it. Because I started valuing myself. If you want an hour with me, I need $500. If you want a half a day with me, we need to work with a $5,000 thing. If you want to spend a weekend with me, it's $100,000. That's it. Because I know what it's worth, right? If you want to get in a group coaching situation for me, I have a private group for $997. And I know that, and that's it. But it took me a while to break all these hard wires. Everything that was kind of plugged into your brain, that thinking that if you weren't a doctor or a lawyer or an Indian chief, that you weren't worth all the kind of money that they make. I make more money than doctors and lawyers now, right? I make tons of more money than them. I'm worth way more than them. I finished college, but I didn't finish medical school. That's what I was going to school for, medical school. I got a bachelor's degree, right, of science. And I never used it at all, and it hasn't served me at all, right? I totally should have and could have done something else with those 4 years that I spent in college. And the reason why I'm telling you that is because it's true. You're hardwired to have certain beliefs in your head that other people have planted there. And I don't want to talk about too many different things, right? But it's something like, I'll give you an example. You see people like this, right? Well, that's the wrong thing, right? So let's go. They're showing me an ass. All right, so there we go. So when you see this person right here, right? What do you think, right? You automatically think that he's just a good for nothing dude, right? When you see these people here, there's a certain mindset that you have right now when you see this person, right? And you would never think that these people had a life or have talent or have anything, man. So these people break the internet all the time because you'll see them singing in subways and getting money, and they sing like a dream. There was this one guy that was begging for money, and the guy pulled up onto him in a car, and he started doing like a commercial. Said Master Felix Roswell's most interesting Flickr photos, right? Something like that. And the dude was like, oh, wow, I can't believe that this voice came out of this guy's mouth. There's another video on YouTube of a guy, they put a piano out in the street, and it was just like, play me. And so this bum dude that kind of looked like this guy, right? This guy actually, right, just walked up and started playing the most beautiful song that you've ever heard in your life that he composed himself. But we all think, we believe that these people are lazy. We believe that these people are just like good for nothing people. We don't have good things to say about these people. We don't even know their fucking stories, man. Right? And that's my point I'm making to you. You don't even know the story, and you're making up your mind on whether someone is innocent or guilty, whether or not someone is a lazy bum or just had bad luck. No matter what the case may be, there's a couple things that you need to know. Number one is you shouldn't spend so much time thinking about someone else. You got your own shit to take care of. Number two is if you don't know the full story, don't immediately make your mind up about something. It is a terrible mistake. And the reason why I left Donald Trump and this bum and other things to tell you about that, because those are really strong images that I know you're hardwired to believe. Because if I told you some things about business, right? So a friend of mine the other day said this, and it really struck me when he said this. So he was showing me a picture of a friend of his, right? And I really wish I could find this guy. He sent me, let me see if I can find it. He's on Spotify. I need to see if I can find it. But anyways, this guy has tattoos all over his face. It was crazy. And then if you looked at the guy, you would try to say to yourself, hey, would you do business with this guy? And I know your answer would be no. He had tattoos everywhere. This guy had a following of over 400,000 people, makes tons of money, and was a proper internet marketer, right? But another thing that really struck me was during that conversation, my wife asked him, say, hey, man, how come you never show Sonny's videos like that to people? And she said, well, internet marketing doesn't work. Wow. So now he cleaned it up to say that he said that the people wouldn't believe that it worked and he believed it did, but it doesn't matter. The fact that he was hardwired enough to tell me, someone that he knows is successful, someone that he's seen the money, knows that I make bucket loads of money, would say that. Hardwired to believe certain things, right? I'll even go so far as to tell you that I know certain Black people believe that, and my partner is really guilty of this. I'll tell him the sky is falling today. He won't make a move. Let the sky beat his ass up. A white guy will tell him, and he'll go running and then come telling me, hey, man, Sonny, didn't you know the sky is falling? Dude, I've been sitting under shelter for a long time. I've been told you that, right? So certain people are hardwired to believe certain things. Sonny don't know anything. Sonny's just old street dude. Sonny ain't shit. He's an internet marketer. That shit doesn't work. He's a woo-woo dude. He doesn't know anything, and that's hardwired. But his lie is full of shit. And he missed out on some big opportunities with working with me because of those hard wires. So I just wanted to leave those examples for you. And I really think that you should ask yourself this question: am I hardwired for failure? What notions do I have? What thoughts are my own and what thoughts are someone else's? The things that I do today. And one of the biggest questions, and I got this from a movie actually, right? But it's a really good one. How do you like your eggs? Do you like them scrambled? Do you like them over easy? How do you like your eggs, right? And your answer, when you give your answer, say, I like an omelet or I like this, ask yourself, do you like that? Or does your wife like that? Or does your husband like that? Or did someone you dated a long time ago like scrambled eggs? How do you like your eggs? I think that's all I'm going to give you guys for today. Just keep staying tuned, man. This is going to be on Self-Made Man TV. It's a new podcast that I'm coming out with, man. I really enjoy doing podcasts, and I hope you guys enjoy listening.